Oda Nobunaga, 1534. Owari. You were not born to inherit an existing order. You are Oda Nobunaga, and the old order is what you came to destroy. While other samurai still believed in swords and honor, you brought firearms onto the battlefield, not to shock the world, but to end wars faster. 1560. At Okahazama, you refuse a direct confrontation. In heavy rain, your forces slip through dense forest and narrow hills, holding absolute silence. While the enemy is resting, armor loosened, ranks scattered, you strike straight into the central camp, severing command before they can organize a response. From that moment on, you advance without pause, laying the foundations for the unification of Japan. 1582. While resting at Honnoji with only a small force, you are betrayed and surrounded by Akechi Mitsuhide. There is no escape, no reinforcements. Fire spreads into the main hall. A retainer whispers, "There's still a way out." No. You order the temple set ablaze. Amid the burning hall, you sit down, place the sword before you, and commit seppuku. When the rebels storm inside, there is no body to take, only ashes. You die in a sea of fire and leave no one else to decide your ending. Miyamoto Musashi. You were born in an age of chaos. No one to call your name, no place to return to. You grew up without anything that could truly be called a family. You walked alone. Your only possessions were a sword and a body that was not allowed to be weak. In your youth, they called you Takezo, a rough name fitting the way you existed. You fought so you wouldn't be swallowed whole. You killed to prove you were still here. No ideals, no honor, only survival instinct. At Sekigahara, when two worlds collided, you stood with neither side. You were pulled into the mass of bodies, mud, blood, and screams. When the battle ended, the victors celebrated, and you walked out of the pile of corpses like a ghost. That was when you learned, survival is also a kind of victory. The years that followed were spent wandering. You stopped searching for opponents to prove your strength. You began searching for rules. To you, the sword was no longer a tool of killing. It became a way to cut away what was unnecessary. You wielded two swords at once. They called it heresy. You called it balance. Niten Ichi Ryu was born not to perform, not to prolong a fight, but to end it as quickly as possible, before emotion could interfere. Then came the morning on Ganryu Island. The sea was calm, the sky clear. Sasaki Kojiro was waiting, elegant, proud, his blade long like a silver wing. A swordsman who wanted to be remembered. You arrived late. No apology, no explanation. You stepped off the boat holding a rough wooden blade, carved from an oar during the crossing. Kojiro burned with anger. You stayed silent. When his blade cut the headband from your forehead, you did not step back. You stepped forward. One beat, one strike. The wooden blade fell faster than thought. Kojiro collapsed, and his story ended there. You bowed, not to honor victory, but to close the path for both of you. You walked away, and from that moment on, you never fought a duel to the death again. Years later, you entered a stone cave. You sat upright, hands resting on your sword. Death came quietly. When others found you, you were still there, not fallen. No one dared to touch you, because before them, discipline had turned to stone. You did not die in fire. You stopped.